Okay, guys, I'm going to do a little fiscal and monetary policy introduction for you guys, which will go into what you're going to be seeing in the live review session at 5 o'clock today, which I recommend that you all watch later this evening at 5 o'clock. So I'm going to go a little bit into it right now and go through some definitions of it and explain it in some simpler terms as well. So fiscal and monetary policy. So we're going to start with some just basic definitions. So fiscal policy is the means by which a government adjusts its spending levels and tax rates to monitor and influence a nation's economy. So that is fiscal policy in defined terms. And you can pause the video and take that down if you would like. I'm going to move on to monetary policy now. So monetary policy is the policy adopted by the monetary authority of a country that controls the flow of money in the economy. So we have fiscal and monetary policy. So you can take some time and just pause the video and write those down if you like. So what do those mean? So I'm sure all of you are maybe confused or unclear about what that means in a country's economy. So in simpler terms, what does that mean? So monetary policy is controlled by the Federal Reserve. So the Federal Reserve is these are unelected officials. These are people appointed by people in our government, people we elected. So they're experts in money, experts in managing money and how it operates in the economy. These are people, this is a very important function, and this can't be left to, the public to elect these people. This has to be picked by people who know what they're doing. So they are the main bank of the United States and are made up of unelected people, like I said. So they try to achieve big economic goals in the country, like fixing recessions or just big structural things about how an economy works. This bank acts as a bank for other banks in the country that are used by us, the people. So our banks like BBVA, Compass, Chase Bank, Community Resource, Wells Fargo. Those are banks for people and small businesses. But the Federal Reserve is the bank that's used for the smaller banks of the country. They borrow money and get their supply of dollars and dollar bills from the Federal Reserve. And the Federal Reserve is the institution that regulates this flow of money in the economy. So if there's anything to take away from this, they are made up of unelected officials. They are appointed by people in the government. They are experts at using and operating money, and they have a lot of experience with money prior to being appointed to the Federal Reserve. So the operation of the Federal Reserve is a very, very, very important job. So that is how monetary policy works. So fiscal policy. Fiscal policy is controlled by Congress. These are the people that we elect to government, the people. So fiscal policy tries to achieve smaller specific things in the economy, like maybe welfare distribution or some kind of charitable donation. So they maybe work to decrease poverty or something like that. So they don't really work in the structural realm of the economy. They work more in the social realm of the economy. And so they may also try to achieve big goals like monetary policy, but not always. So they may try to work on small specific things working toward like a big goal in the economy. But yeah, this is fiscal policy. You'll have a lot of presidents or politicians running and saying things like, oh, we're gonna, like Andrew Yang came out and said all right, we're gonna have a universal basic income. Every American is gonna get $1,000 a month. This is a fiscal policy. And, kind of like right now in government, Donald Trump is talking about giving every American some money right now to help during the coronavirus crisis. So that is fiscal policy in simpler terms. So how do these work when we are experiencing something like a recession? So it's a very timely topic. So what are our policy options? So first would be no policy right here. So no policy. If we didn't use a fiscal policy or a monetary policy, wages would decrease in the economy. So people would be paid less, people would work less, and eventually costs for things would go down because there would be a decrease of flow of expenditures of people spending things in the economy. And when there's a decrease of people spending, there is, people aren't buying things, so there's an oversupply. So we get right here, aggregate supply goes up. So as aggregate supply goes up, because people aren't buying things anymore, there's a low demand. So there's an oversupply in the market of products because they're not being bought. And it is a theory that, and is believed over time, that the market will correct itself over time if we take no policy. But the danger in that is that we take no policy, people are going to lose jobs, people are going to lose homes, people are going to lose, retirements, and this is going to do a lot of damage to people's lives. But the market will correct itself eventually, though. But the only fact, it's going to adversely affect people's lives. Things are going to go out of business, and it's going to be, a bad show. So that's one way a recession will fix itself in a market economy if we take no policy. But what if we take a fiscal policy? So if we take a fiscal policy, government spending will go up, which will lead to an increase in aggregate demand. So government spending to help struggling businesses, which is something Trump is talking about right now. So helping struggling businesses, helping regular people out. So people are going to have disposable income. So there's going to continue to be a demand in the economy.
It out and letting aggregate supply.
So right, so as we continue down, so taxes are going to go down. This is references T right here. So taxes are going to go down. So the government's going to decrease taxes. So this is going to have an increase in disposable income for small businesses and just regular people in the economy. So disposable income is going to go up, which is going to cause a increase in consumer spending, which will increase aggregate demand and fix the recession. Probably more quickly than it would have been corrected if there was no policy. All right, so what if we had monetary policy? So in monetary policy, what we want to happen is we want the money supply to go up. So we would decrease interest rates and which would increase investments in spending, which would increase aggregate demand, like so. But how do we get to that? So how do we get to that is we would lower the reserve requirement. So lower the reserve requirement for banks. So we would allow banks to spend more or allow more money to be loaned out to businesses and people so they could spend it more. We would lower the discount rate. And you have open market operations right here, which is what OMO stands for, and we would buy up bonds. So these are the three things the Federal Reserve would do in their toolbox. They may do one, two, or all three, and all these things would increase aggregate demand and correct the recession in a economy that is suffering from one. And that is an example of how an economy would fix a recession using fiscal and monetary policy. There are some other things we could look at, and I'm sure the review person for the AP review session tonight will look over those with you. But that is all for me. Thank you for watching.